methods and the back button, there is another crucial concept in the topic of the Android activity lifecycle, and that is understanding what happens when the user rotates their phone. If I just load the emulator, in our app you have this. You can try this on the emulator or on a real device. If I go ahead and rotate the phone, let's have a quick look at what happens. To rotate the emulator, you can press the icon you see to the right-hand side, the rotate phone icon. So I'll rotate it to the left, and then after a little flicker, the phone rotates. If in your emulator, when you rotate the phone like this, the activity remains in portrait, and it's kind of on the side, you might need to drag down from the status bar by long-clicking and ensure that the icon here, which is the device rotation, is selected. You can see when I deselect that, the phone's locked to portrait mode, and we get something like this. So if this happens to you, you might need to slide from the left from the phone's status bar, press the rotate icon there, and then when you do, the app should rotate like this. So you can use these icons to rotate left and right. Okay, now at first glance, everything seems okay. In fact, if I go ahead and put something in the edit text, some content that I don't want to lose, if I rotate this, still everything seems fine. So in order for me to show you some of the problems around device rotation and to show you some of the potential pitfalls, we're going to have to change our layout a little bit. So back in Android Studio, I'm going to command click on activity main binding. That's a useful little shortcut to get to our layout file. So control click, command click. In order for me to show you some of the problems with device rotation and to give a clearer picture of what happens to our app and our activity when the device is rotated, I'm going to add a text view. So rather than having the edit text bang in the middle by having top to the top and bottom to the bottom, I'm going to remove the bottom to the bottom one, and that should bring the edit text to the very top. And then underneath this, we'll have a text view. So text view, we'll make the width match parent, be lazy, and the height can be wrap content. We'll do now top to the bottom of the edit text, so underneath. I'll do some tools text, some preview text, and this can be preview of the saved message. So what we'll do is when the user clicks the save button that will happen in just a moment, we'll preview what's been saved inside this text view. I think I'll go ahead and center this. I'll do gravity, not layout gravity, but gravity to center the contents. So center that, give it a little bit of margin top, 2040p, and I will just give it an ID just for best practice. So text view saved message. So when the user saves the message they have typed in the edit text, we will copy that value into this text view just to show them what they've saved. And what I'll do, above the button exit I've pinned to the bottom of the screen, I'll copy the whole button, and above it I'll paste it. I'll change the ID for button save, and rather than bottom to the bottom of the parent, I'll do bottom to the top of the exit button. I'll change it to save message. And just for fun, I'll change the styling. I'll make the save message appear to be the primary action, and I'll make the exit activity, I'll give it a style of a button, and then I think outlined button, yes. Material components, outlined button. And that gives the effect of the exit button being not as prominent, not the primary action. Actually looks a bit better. So we've changed our layout, we still have our edit text, but now we have the ability to save the edit text finally. And when we save it, we'll preview the saved message, the thing that we saved to the file in this text view. And I think I'll just give the text view a little bit of padding, just so it doesn't go to the very edge, so 12dp. That's okay. Good. So we've changed our layout file, so now I can show you what happens a bit clearer. So back in main activity, we'll give the save button some behavior now. So we'll set a click listener, binding.button_save.set on click listener, and here we will save the message. That type of function that doesn't exist yet, and we'll use the error, so Alt Enter, Option Enter, create the function. There we go, save message. And I think now I will copy these two lines, the user message and the file from onDestroy, paste them into here, remove the comment by selecting the lines and doing Control/Command/, and now we can delete the onDestroy method. And then I'm going to do a quick auto format, Control-Alt-L. So now we're taking the user message from the edit text again, we're saving it to a file, but now we want to put the message in the text view saved message, like a preview. In fact, what I'll do is I'll do your message has been saved, exclamation mark. I'll do the shortcode to do 2 new lines, so /n is a new line and /n backslash. And then I'll say message preview, colon, I'll do another 2 slashes, and then I'll use string templating, I'll do $, user message. So when they save the message, it's going to write it to a file like it did before, and then say your message has been saved, a couple of line breaks, message preview with a colon, a couple of line breaks again, and then the user's message. That'll be a nice bit of user interface to show the user what they saved. And for best practice, we could probably just clear out the edit text for the next message. So binding.editTextMessage.setText, and we'll just do an empty string. So let's go ahead and test this behavior now. We'll run the app. Okay, I'm presently in landscape. I'm going to go back to portrait for now, so rotate the phone back. Okay, so let's say this is the private message I want to save, smiley face. I'll close the keyboard with the back button or the down button and click Save Message. And then your message has been saved, message preview, this is the private message I want to save. And the edit text has been cleared. Very good. But now, let's see what happens when I rotate the phone. Everything's disappeared. Now, I'll try that again, so we'll save a new message. I'll just close the keyboard because the edit text goes full screen in landscape mode, which is a bit annoying. So there we go, we've got something new in the edit text. I'll save it again. Okay, your message has been saved. Unfortunately, we can't see the message preview because it's underneath the button somewhere. So it's not the best layout, but you can take my word for it, it is somewhere under there. I could go ahead and put some more content in here, some more content, and close the keyboard. But I'll rotate the phone back again and let's see what happens. Okay, so the contents of the edit text persists, but the text view that we updated, the preview message where we had set the text, well, that disappears. So why could this be? Well, this is now where we need to understand what happens when you rotate an Android application or activity. To understand what happens, I'm going to put in all of the other lifecycle methods. So we've got onCreate, so I'll do onStart, and then onResume. Then I'll do the closing ones. Do you remember what they were? OnPause, then onStop, and then onDestroy. And what I'll do is I'll put a debug point on all of the super methods, so super.onStart, super.onResume, super.onPause, then onStop and onDestroy. And now I'm going to run the app again, but this time in debug mode. So go ahead and do the same, press the debug icon. And straight away, as we start the app, it goes through the onStart method, then onResume. Okay, and then the app is running. In fact, I think I put an extra debug point in onCreate at the very start just to show that as well. So the app is running, and now I'll type something in the edit text, a message to save, ... Close the keyboard and save that. And now we'll rotate the phone and let's see what happens. Well, we're in onPause, then onStop, and then onDestroy. So all we've done is rotate our activity, but the activity has now been destroyed. Okay, and there's nothing on our screen if I bring the emulator back up. But almost immediately after onDestroy, we're back in onCreate again. And then to onStart, and then to onResume. But everything's been cleared. With the exception of the edit text, if I would have had something in the edit text, so I'll put some edit text content, ... I'll close the keyboard and I'll rotate the phone. Again, onPause, onStop, onDestroy, onCreate, onStart, onResume. Well, the edit text content stays, but everything else resets. And this is the crucial concept to understand. When you rotate the device, when you rotate a phone on Android, the default behavior is it will destroy the activity. And that's completely destroyed. It will go through onPause, onStop, then onDestroy, and then it will build it up again from scratch. And there's a few reasons for this, but the primary reason is when you go from portrait to landscape, well, that's a completely different aspect ratio. It's a completely different screen layout. So by completely destroying the activity and then creating it again, it gives the opportunity to provide a different layout for landscape. And you might have seen this once or twice, whether in a game or perhaps maybe in an email application. In landscape, it might have a different layout. And so because of this, the default behavior is to completely finish, destroy, tear down the activity, and then rebuild it from scratch. Now this might seem like a bit of a pain, but there is some under the hood code, for example the saving of edit text content like we see there, that does happen automatically to make things a bit more convenient. Android assumes you probably don't want users who filled out some fields to lose all those things, so they provide some behavior for you automatically that will save such content. But in the case of our text view, when we save a message and rotate it, well, we can see onPause, onStop, onDestroy, and it recreates. And then we lose our text view. And for us, that's quite annoying. Well, fortunately for us, Android does provide a mechanism where any data you want, you can save it when you destroy the activity, and then restore it when you recreate the activity. And that's going to be the focus of the next few tutorials for us. But the goal for this tutorial now is to understand this concept. When you rotate the phone, your activity, by default, will be destroyed completely and recreated. And it's up to us to save the data that we want saving, to then restore it later on. And looking at exactly how we store data when the activity is destroyed will be the focus of the next few tutorials. So let's do that now.